Good evening everyone, Nick here from New Body Fitness. Today I'm going to be talking to you quickly about muscle building basically. So we're doing a Q&A, so if you've got any questions during this, just pop them in the comments and I'll get around to answering them as we go. So I just thought I'd give you a bit of a basics into muscle building, the different types of training, how we can actually activate our muscle fibers and actually gain some muscle instead of just coming into the gym and doing the same thing over and over and just kind of staying where you are. I thought if I give you the basics, then you can kind of see how it works a little bit better in our body. So we're going to start with thinking about the muscle again. So if you listen to my talk last week, it's all about kind of rooms. The muscle cells are exactly that, so they're all full of rooms. So what we have to do is think about all the rooms are going to represent muscle fibers. We're not really going to build any more muscle fibers. You've kind of got what you've got. Muscle fibers are there. All we're trying to do is fill those muscle fibers out. So the bigger we can fill our muscle fibers, i.e. fill the rooms up with nutrients, blood, cytoplasmic fluid, things like that, the bigger our muscle cross section is going to be. So what we need to do is, if you're looking for size training, we're thinking about filling as much energy and nutrients into these rooms as possible, or these muscle cells as possible. But before that, we've got to think how are we actually going to activate these rooms. So if you continue to do 15, 20 reps of the same type of weight when you're training, you're only going to be able to access a certain amount of muscle fibers in your actual muscles. So you're probably only going to use kind of 20% of the actual muscle that's available to use. So when you have to increase this, or to increase the amount of actual muscle fibers you can actually use, we're going to need to up the weight a little bit, or increase the force. So the force will actually basically make our kind of motor units come into play and actually activate a lot more muscle fibers. So it means we're making more doors and more rooms available in that muscle. So by dropping the weight a little bit, by dropping the reps a little bit and increasing the weight and dropping the reps down to kind of like our 5 to 8, we can actually start increasing the fiber kind of recruitment. So we're actually going to recruit a lot more fibers. That way we can, once we get to our hypertrophy again, or our kind of like 10 to 15 rep range, we can actually fill those fibers up with the nutrients and get an expanded muscle. So generally when I put people into programs, we'll be looking at kind of like the first initial kind of 3 to 4 weeks is going to be all about fiber recruitment. So we're going to go into a lower rep kind of scheme, so more kind of force, more contracting the muscle like forcefully and actually recruiting the fibers. So it's going to be kind of like 3 to 8 reps maximum. And it's all going to be about really driving the shortening of the muscle, and then slowly lengthening the muscle, and that's going to actually start to recruit more fibers and basically open more rooms available in our muscle. The second kind of 4 weeks that's when we get our size or our hypertrophy area going in. So that's where we start to fill these rooms with nutrients. So now we're talking kind of like that 10 to 15 rep range. We're going to slow the reps right down, so the contracting or the shortening of the rep range is going to be a lot slower, as well as the lengthening. So it's all about the lengthening, like the stretch. So if we do a bicep curl, that's our shortening, that's our lengthening. So it's actually the lengthening of the muscle, or lengthening of the movement, that's going to break the muscle fibers down and create damage, and that's where you're going to get like an adaptation from. So whenever you're doing your weight training, make sure that kind of lengthening of the muscle is what you're concentrating on, because that's the bit that does the damage, or the good stuff. Okay, so like I say, so that second 4 weeks of our training program is going to be looking more at the hypertrophy. So we're talking about filling the rooms more with blood, more with energy, looking for like the pump, that kind of thing that we're actually trying to be training for. So let's say it's all about engaging the muscle fibers at the start of the 4 weeks, or the first part of your program, so you can actually engage more rooms, and then we're trying to fill those rooms with nutrients, and that's how we're going to build a bigger muscle. So let's say you've got what you've got, but are we actually kind of recruiting enough muscle fibers? Probably not at the minute. So that's why you need to go back to that initial strength training side of things, and then that second phase is where we're filling those muscle fibers, or those rooms, with nutrients. All right. So if you've got any questions, hey Carl, how you doing, mate? You well? We'll catch up soon. If you've got any questions, please chuck them in the comments, because I want to help out, and we're going to do this every week. Get some Q&As going. I want to see what we can do. Also, if you've got any lagging body parts, I want to talk about that as well a little bit. So if you've got any lagging body parts, chuck them in the comments below, and then in the week I'm going to chuck a video out on every comment that I've got on how we can kind of bring them up and common mistakes and pitfalls and things like that. One of the main things to think about when you are doing this training is your technique, your range of movement, making sure your range of movement is going to be full. So again, if you're doing a bicep curl, let's take this very easy. If you're already coming up to here and then down to here and then up to here, you're not going to get very kind of good effects from it. You've got to kind of think about the muscle, contract it fully all the way in, and then nice stretch out, okay? Remember that stretch is where we're doing the damage. Like I say, if you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments, and we'll see what we can do next week. So thanks to you all for listening. It's a bit shorter than last week, but we'll get these coming every week, and we'll see what we can do. Cheers. Happy training.